What is going on, everybody? This is a new idea I had for you guys for Wednesdays. We normally do the NBA midweek check in, which we will be doing. It'll be a little bit later just because the in season tournament games are tonight on a Tuesday, which when I am filming this. So you guys will be seeing the NFL kind of rundown. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet of the week 10 games, some of the stuff we saw, what we liked, what we didn't like. We had a pretty bad week this past week with the picks. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some games. This week was electric. Let's go ahead and dive into the NFL Week 10. It was a crazy week. The week before, we had a lot of field goal winning games. This week, we saw some similar games, some more exciting games, last second touchdowns. We'll start with Arizona. Kyler Murray came back against Atlanta after tearing his ACL last year. I believe it was almost a full year, like 364 days, like it was a day off from tearing his ACL. And he leads the team to win a game, driving them in I think it was less than 2 minute drill to beat Atlanta. Obviously, that's awesome. Congrats to Kyler. Love to see a guy that's back healthy and playing his best football. Not necessarily his best football, but he was able to get the job done, right? You want to win games. And for a Cardinals team that is not the best team in the world, probably going to get a high draft pick. They have a new coach, and they have the opportunity to draft a new quarterback. So they want to get Kyler in there. They want to see how he fits in the new coach's system and see whatever he does and base that around his newest draft picks. Whether they decide to take Drake May, Caleb Williams, if they decide to take a quarterback, or if they like Kyler Murray in that system, they might get a Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe a couple offensive linemen, whatever they decide to do. Right, the team needs help at all spots. They do have some nice pieces to build around. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes for Kyler. But that was a good way to kind of get back into the season. Moving on, Chargers Lions, man, what a game! 41-38, another game that came down to the last second. The Lions end up winning it on a go-ahead field goal. It was a great game. Another game where whenever I say the Charger, you guys know they end up in some of the craziest games. Justin Herbert had one heck of a game as well. Um, he played really well, but it's just something about the Chargers, man. It doesn't matter how good he plays, they still somehow find a way to lose. So it's unfortunate for him. Hopefully, they can get it together and maybe make the playoffs this year. I believe they're now 5-5, which with the talent on that roster, that is unacceptable. They were picked early on to maybe be some people's Super Bowl favorites in that division. Excuse me, that conference. Even with the Chiefs being in there and Patrick Mahomes being who he is. Um, it's just I don't know what's going on. And similar with Buffalo, we'll get to them in a minute. Obviously, we saw what happened to them on Monday Night Football, but the Chargers, man, I'm not sure what to make of them. I'm obviously not a football expert, a film junkie. I watch the game as a fan, just like you guys do. Um, I know more about basketball than I do football as far as what actually goes into a game, what plays are being called, coverages, different things like that. Football, it is purely from a fan's eye for me personally. I would love to hear what you guys think is going wrong with the Chargers as far as technical things, um, whether it be defensive play calling, offensive play calling, what matchups people are playing. I would love to hear what you guys think are going wrong, but purely from a fan's perspective, man, they just don't look like they can put it together. If the offense is clicking, the defense is off, and vice versa. I mean, Khalil Mack had 6 sacks in a game and they almost lost. Like, it makes absolutely no sense for these Chargers. And for them to be losing some of these games, especially in that conference, there's very small room for error. But staying in that conference with the Broncos, they beat the Bills on a game where I'm not sure what's going on with the Bills either. The Bills are very similar to me as the Chargers as far as just crazy stuff happens to them. Obviously, the DeMar Hamlin situation is just insane. He played a little bit in the Denver game, so shout out to him for making a recovery. As we all know, he did. If you didn't watch the game, the Bills lose on a field goal attempt where they have 12 men on the field. They obviously kick it, and Denver misses. There's 12 men on the field for Buffalo. They get a re kick, and that's all she wrote. Denver moves to 4-5. The Bills move to 5-5. I believe now the Broncos are now one game out of second place in their division, with the Chargers and Chiefs being ahead of them. Obviously, we know what the Raiders are. They're playing a little bit better with the interim head coach. So that division is something to be watched, especially with kind of the jockeying of draft picks here at the end of the year. So yeah, man, we'll see what happens. A couple of the other games were pretty good. Obviously, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Browns and Ravens game. This was one of the games I hyped up at the beginning of the video on. You guys saw it Sunday. Um, what a game! The Browns were down fairly big early. They came back. Deshaun Watson in the second half looked really good. He looked his best in a Browns uniform so far. He kind of played like his old Houston self, running the ball, throwing the ball. For a guy who was in a walking boot after the game, he obviously finished very well. Cleveland gets the win. We need to talk maybe a little bit more about the AFC North. It is the best conference in football. Um, I keep calling it conference. I mean division. I feel like I've said conference 5 or 6 times. I mean division. You guys know what I mean. But yeah, man, that conference, that division is loaded. All four teams could be making the playoffs. Obviously, there's a lot of football left, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun race to watch down the stretch. But yeah, if you didn't know, the Browns were down fairly early. Lamar was still playing well. He drops back to throw a pass, gets tipped up in the air, and there's a pick six to tie the game, or at least we thought so. It makes it 31-30. Browns kicker gets trotted out there to kick the extra point, and he misses. So it's 30-31 with about 4 minutes left in the game. Deshaun Watson, like I said, played a lot better in the second half. They ended up getting into field goal range and kicking a game-winning field goal. Very similar kind of way to end games this past weekend. There were 3 games, or maybe even more, but just about the ones we've talked about ended in field goals, game-winning field goals. And so that's the kind of football you want to watch, man. It's exciting. That means the games are close. It means teams are getting better as the year goes on. And so, yeah, I just wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys about those. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys want to talk about more, whether it be going into individual games for a full video, just kind of talking to me back and forth. Like I said, the NBA midweek check-in will be here later today. You're going to get 2 videos in one day. I don't know if you guys can handle that. I know some of y'all probably think I'm annoying, but I'm trying my best, man. I just want to be able to put stuff out there and show that I know what I'm talking about. I have a dream and a career for sports. And so, yeah, I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.